Miss Miranda, Happy New Year. Anna Marie's doorman was standing just outside the building's polished doors. He smiled and waved me in. On the way up, it hit me that it was truly strange to come over here without talking to Anna Marie first. But at this exact same time, I got nervous about that. I also got the other feeling, which I can only describe as love for Anna Marie's elevator. The wood paneling, the cloth-covered stool in one corner, the little bell that went off every time we passed another floor. It was all so nice and cozy that I thought it would be wonderful to stay inside it forever, or at least to sit down on the little stool and close my eyes for a while. The whole thing was beyond weird. And then the elevator stopped on Anna Marie's floor. And of course, I got out, because that's what people do when the elevator gets to their floor. Anna Marie answered the door in her robe with her wet hair. "Hi," I started. "I just called to say Happy New Year, and your dad said..." She smiled. "Come on in." It was the best... It was the best morning. Anna Marie showed me her Christmas presents. She got all kinds of cool art stuff, and we ended up spreading it all over the dining room table and drawing comic strips on this special comic strip paper that came with stickers for talking bubbles and the thinking bubbles. And then her mom showed us how to make origami frogs, and I was actually good at it. Meanwhile, her dad kept bringing in these plates of bacon and, for me, French toast strips I could pick up with my hands. Then Mom called. I had completely forgotten about her. She was frantic, she was angry, and she was coming to get me. Even Anna Marie's dad looked mad. "Better get your coat on," he said when I hung up the phone, even though my mom couldn't possibly get to Anna Marie's apartment that fast. So I waited by the door, overheating in my coat, and Anna Marie waited with me. "So about what happened at Jimmy's," I said. "You know, I never really meant what he thought I meant, not for 1 second. She looked at the floor. "I totally believe you, and I don't know why I said that stupid thing I said about money. It was stupid." "It's okay." I was so grateful that she had something to apologize for that it didn't really occur to me to think about how it had actually made me feel. But I've thought about it since then. It didn't make me feel good. We heard the elevator ding, and I opened Anna Marie's front door before Mom had a chance to ring the bell. I thought I might be able to escape without Anna Marie's parents talking to her. No such luck. "Jerry," Mom called out, and Anna Marie's dad came rushing over, saying, "Oh, you're here. I didn't hear the bell." "I'm so sorry about this," Mom said. "No, I'm sorry. I had no idea. It'll never happen again. Always check with you first." They cross-talked over for a while and then hit one of those neutral breaks in the conversation, and both turned to look at me. "Let's go," Mom said coldly, and I said, "Thanks for having me," and Anna Marie's dad smiled at me, but only because he's the nicest person on earth. The elevator opened right away, so there was no awkward waiting. On the way down, I knew I should apologize, but I just waited for Mom to jump all over me. Instead, she burst into tears, which made me cry. So we both cried through the lobby, past the doorman, and out into the sunlight, where we magically stopped. She took a breath and looked at me. "I was scared," she said. "When you didn't come back, I got really scared. Don't ever do that again." I nodded. "Okay," she said. "Now, what now?" "I don't know. Maybe a movie?" So that's what we did. We went to the movies and had candy and popcorn and held hands for a few minutes on the way home. The Laughing Man was at his regular post, doing his kicks into the street. When he saw us, he yelled, "Smart kid!" But having Mom there made it different, like walking down the street with a blanket wrapped around me tight. Richard was leaning up against our building reading a newspaper. "Hey," he said, "we had a plan. Did you forget about me?" He made a sad face, and Mom said, "Oh no. How late am I?" And then she looked at me and we both started laughing. Richard said, "Seriously, would it kill you to give me a key?" And Mom shrugged and said it was only 3:30, and she didn't much feel like going upstairs anyway. So we turned around and went to eat at the diner, which was full of people just waking up and having breakfast. Things you realize. It was 1979, a new year, a new decade, almost. But school was just school. Jay Stringer was still a genius, music assemblies were still boring, and Alice Evans was still too shy to admit when she had to go to the bathroom. The fourth grade's violin performance had only just started, and already Alice was squirming in her seat next to me. Jay was on my other side, somehow reading a book while listening to the world's worst music. I located Sal's blonde head a few rows ahead of my right. I stared at the back of it for a while, trying to see if I could make him turn around with the sheer power of my brainwaves. But it was hard to concentrate with Alex doing a Mexican hat dance in her chair. I tried to make a face at Anna Marie, who was on the other side of Alice, but Anna Marie seemed fully absorbed by the music. She is extremely non-judgmental that way. So I went back to looking at Sal. Directly in front of me was Julia. She was obviously as bored as I was. Her head kept bobbing around. And then she turned and looked at Anna Marie. I glanced over and saw that Anna Marie's eyes were still on the stage. Julia watched Anna Marie, and I watched Julia watching Anna Marie. And what I saw were eyes that were 60% Choco Chocolat, a face that was cafe a lot, and an expression that was so familiar it made my whole body ring like a bell. Julia's look was my look, my looking at Sal. And suddenly I knew three things. First, it was Julia who had left the rose for Anna Marie. Second, Julia cared about Anna Marie, but Anna Marie didn't see it because I was standing in the way. Third, Alice Evans was about to pee in her pants. I turned to Alice. "Hey," I said, "I have to go to the bathroom. Be my partner?" Sometimes you never feel meaner than the moment you stop being mean. It's like how turning on a light makes you realize how dark the room had gotten, and the way you usually act, the things you would have normally done, are like these ghosts that everyone can see but pretends not to. It was like that when I asked Alice Evans to be my bathroom partner. I wasn't one of the girls who tortured her on purpose. Not like I'd never lifted a finger to help her before, or had even spent 1 minute being nice to her. She stopped squirming and looked at me suspiciously. "You have to go?" she said. "Really?" "Yeah." And in that moment, I wanted nothing as much as I wanted Alice to feel safe with me. Really. I leaned forward in my seat and waved my arm up and down so that Mr. Tompkins turned to look at me from his seat at the end of the row, and I spoke over the laps of Jay Stringer and Colin, who were sitting between us. "I have to go to the bathroom." These words felt like some kind of sacrifice, a precious offering to the universe. I didn't know why, but Julia's look had given me this total determination to get Alice Evans to the bathroom before she wet herself. "Now?" Mr. Tompkins whispered. "Please?" He rolled his eyes. "Fine." Mr. Tompkins tilted his knees to one side to let us pass, and Jay Stringer and Colin put their heads together, and then Jay laughed. My mind proceeded that if Jay was the one who'd laughed, then Colin was the one who'd made the joke. A joke about me, maybe. I grabbed Alice's hand and pulled her after me, and then we were running up the aisle. Things you beg for. As soon as Alice went into the bathroom, I ran down the hall towards the office. There were so many things I wanted to do but couldn't, like hug my mom or be less jealous of Anna Marie, and I didn't want this to become one of them, but I had to work fast. "Miranda," Willie looked up at me doubtfully. "Aren't you supposed to be in the assembly?" "Yes, I'm in the assembly. I was, and I'm going right back. Alice is in the bathroom. Can I have a piece of paper?" "No, ma'am. I don't have paper to be just giving away." Please, just a little piece, a corner of a piece. If I didn't do this right now, I never would. Willie sighed. Then, still in her chair, she kicked her way over to the next desk, where there was one of those pink message pads. She ripped off the top sheet, folded it again, and then carefully ripped off the paper along the first fold, and then along the second fold. Hurry, my brain said, hurry. Here, she held out a quarter of a pink message slip and looked at me with a face that said, I hope you won't be coming around here looking for another handout anytime soon. I picked up a pen from the counter and scribbled on the little pink square. I thought you left me. Alice was standing in front of the bathroom looking all wounded. Me? I said, no way. She smiled. People seem to like the new me. We squeezed back into our row past Colin and Jay Stringer, who whispered and laughed again. Anna Marie looked forward and gave me a where were you shrug. I mouthed bathroom, and then she nodded and settled back again. I folded my pink square a couple of times, then I leaned forward and dropped the note into Julia's lap. I hadn't much time. It was just the one word, truce, and underneath I'd written my phone number. Things that turn upside down. That afternoon, Sal brought Colin home after school. I saw them up ahead of me, taking turns on Colin's skateboard. One would ride and then the other would bounce Sal's basketball. They were circling around each other and laughing and racing around, and I wanted to be part of it so much that my heart almost broke watching. I decided to stop off at Bell's. Belle picked up the economy jug of chewable vitamin C she kept behind the register and shook it at me. I nodded. She tipped 4 of them into my hand. What's up? She asked. Not much. Got time for some of the story? Sure. Where were we? Aunt Beast. Right, Aunt Beast. So Aunt Beast's planet is perfect. It smells great and the food is wonderful and everything is soft and comfortable. But Meg can't stay there. She's got to go back and save her little brother. They left him behind with it, remember? Belle nodded. She has got to go back by herself? Yes, she's the only one who can do it because she's closer to her brother than anyone. It has to be her. Belle nodded. So she goes back there to Kamizoto, and her brother is totally under its control. And he's saying all these awful things to her, and it is trying to suck her into it too, and to take over her brain. She's trying to resist, but it's hard. And then at the last second, she figures out there's only one thing that can defeat it. Love. It doesn't understand love. Oh, Belle said. That's deep. So Meg stands there and thinks about how much she loves her brother, her real brother, not the it brother who is standing there with his mouth hanging open and his eyes twirling. She starts yelling over and over that she loves him, and poof, he becomes himself again. That's how she saves him. It turns out to be really simple. Belle surprised me. Well, it's simple to love someone, she said, but it's hard to know when you need to say it out loud. For some reason, that made me want to cry. Anyway, I said. Then they're suddenly back home. They land in the vegetable garden outside their house, and the broccoli. And that's the end. Of course, I couldn't help thinking of what Marcus had said about how if they had gotten home 5 minutes before they left, they would have seen themselves be back home before they even knew they were going. But it was better not to drag Belle into all that again.